Welcome. Our doctrine this week is on the Lord's Prayer, on the fourth petition. Let me explain. So the Lord's Prayer is the prayer that Jesus taught to his disciples as a model prayer for them to pray. It starts, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come. And there's different parts in there. And it's a model for us. And when we say it often, as a lot of Christians do in worship, in chapel services, and in daily devotions, we can kind of run through it. It's not about powering through the prayer, but it's about thinking about what we're praying and truly asking God for what he's advising us and giving us a model to ask for. Now, each one of those requests in the Lord's Prayer is called a petition, a fancy word for asking for something. Sometimes people will petition the court. It just means to ask. And the fourth one of those is the one we're focusing on today, where we say, give us today our daily bread. It's unique because it's the only time we ask for a physical thing, a thing here and now. Every other petition, every other request is for a spiritual thing. But this is where we ask for God here and now to give us not in abundance, not what we need for months and years, but just enough for today. And it's bread, it's the basics. And we know God hears us and answers our prayers. So we're going to go through that, but I want you to think next time you pray the Lord's Prayer, when you say, give us today our daily bread, to think about what we're going to talk about right now. So I have a bunch of words, but I'm going to read them for you. And this is a great way of helping us know what we really mean when we say, give us today our daily bread. What does this mean? God surely gives daily bread without our asking, even to all the wicked. But we pray in this petition that he would lead us to realize this and to receive our daily bread with thanksgiving. So this is explaining what we're actually saying. God's going to feed us. He takes care of people that don't ask him for daily bread. He takes care of everybody, this verse says, okay? Even to all the wicked. In that sense, we don't get daily bread because we deserve it, okay? We get daily bread because God is gracious. Another thing I want to point out in this is that the whole point, we pray it so we think that we realize that God gives us everything we need, and that when we receive it, we get it with thanksgiving. That we realize that we don't take it for granted. Like, of course I get all this stuff. It really comes from our God. Let me explain a little bit more about the Lord's Prayer. What is meant by daily bread? This is a little bit longer, but let me read it for you. Daily bread includes everything that we need for our bodily welfare, such as food and drink, clothing and shoes, house and home, land and cattle, money and goods, a godly spouse, godly children, godly workers, godly and faithful leaders, good government, good weather, peace and order, health, a good name, good friends, faithful neighbors, and the like. There's a lot in there. So when we say daily bread, we're not really just thinking about a slice of bread that we eat today. Not just our food, but all the basics and just the things that make each day go, okay? And I want to highlight, it says bodily welfare. That's where we're looking. The other petitions, we're talking about forgiveness and faith and spiritual things. But here's where we focus on what we need here and now in this world. And that's a lot of stuff. It's important. It's not as important as our spiritual health. And our God graciously gives us both of them to us. Now, in this description, we see this word godly come up again and again. It's in the bold there, godly, where it's a real blessing to have godly people around us. In other words, that when people act and interact with us, whether they're our relatives, friends, business partners, fellow citizens, the more they act like God towards us, the bigger blessing it is. And so we pray for God for all these things, but notice we don't always have those things. In a sinful, broken world, we don't always have good leaders and friends and government and weather. We don't always have it. But God always gives us exactly what we need each day, and he gets us through every day until he brings us all the way into eternity. So when we pray, give us today our daily bread, we're praying to our God to give us what we need today, and we know he's going to give it to us. Not because we deserve it, but because he's shown us that he's given us everything we need in Jesus for eternity. If he's given us that big thing, we know he's going to take care of our daily needs again today. So make sure to pray to God for your daily bread.